I put renal hilus on the exam, I'll probably do it on this kind of model, and I'll do it on the back here. Renal hilus is this region where everything is coming in and out of the kidney. If I'm over here, then inevitably I have to put that piece of tape on something that something else you're supposed to know too. Does that make sense? So if I'm going to do hilus, I'll just put it back here to indicate that we're asking about this region. And then this covering on the outside of the kidney is
renal capsule.
Renal capsule, right? This region out here,
Cortex.
renal cortex. This region in here,
Medulla.
medulla. And if I want medulla, the question is going to say name this region. Does that make sense? If it just says name the structure and I put it on here, what's that?
Pyramid.
Pyramid. Yeah. And these would be renal columns, but that's not on your list, I don't think.
Is pyramids on here too?
Yep.
Yeah, renal pyramids right within the medulla there.
Oh yeah, I didn't highlight that one.
Alright, so be careful. The peak or tip of the pyramid here, still within the pyramid, is the renal papillae. Alright, so just this peak here. Each renal papillae empties into a minor calyx. So each pyramid has its own minor calyx attached to it.
Okay. And you said the medulla is what's inside the pyramid. I want to make for sure that little structure.
Well, this region is
Yeah.
the medulla.
Okay.
The renal papillae is the tip of the apex of the pyramid there.
Okay.
So if it's part of the pyramid, it's renal papillae. If I'm beyond the pyramid, the
Minor
tube there is a
calyx.
minor calyx. And then when I have two or more minor calyces coming together, that's a major calyx. So we'd have a major calyx here, we'd have another major calyx up there. And then when all of those calyces come together here, still within the kidney, that's going to be what? Renal pelvis.
Where are you pointing at? Right there?
So right through here. So all those calyces come together, renal pelvis. We're still within the kidney here. I am not going to make you make that exact border call between renal pelvis and ureter. If I want ureter, I'll be way down here, right, or on this model here.
Okay.
Right? So if I'm in here, we're going for renal pelvis. I'm not trying to be tricky.
So can you say it again? Like, I'm sorry, I want to make for sure I'm able to differentiate the pyramids and the medulla. I know the pyramids are the little circle
Well,
veins.
the whole region is the medulla.
Medulla.
The pyramids are the individual structures here
Inside,
within
okay.
the medulla.
So how would you word that if you would ask?
So if I ask for the region,
It
we're going
would
to
be
say
medulla?
it would be medulla. If
Okay.
I ask for structure,
It'd
and I
be
put
the
it on
pyramids?
here, it would be
Okay.
something. All right. So then on this model, what's this collection of capillaries called?
The
Glomerulus.
Glomerulus. And do we have the arterioles on here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So we have afferent and efferent arteriole. First of all, just note the glomerulus here, it's the same thing on both sides. It's just that we remove the podocytes over on this side. And so I know these look different, but that's trying to show you layers. Realistically, it would all be the same.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So don't mistake that as afferent or efferent when we're in here in the glomerulus. This is just with podocytes, without podocytes. The arterioles are outside the glomerular capsule. Cool?
Yes.
So this guy is afferent, that has the juxtaglomerular apparatus on it here. That helps to mark that as afferent. This one is efferent. The efferent arterioles split and become the peritubular capillaries. And let's show you that on PowerPoint here, just to help you get a feel for this. So you can see right here comes afferent arteriole, carries blood into the glomerulus. Anything that remains behind, unfiltered, goes into efferent arteriole, and then we can see it split here into the peritubular capillaries. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you see the split, that has to be afferent. or excuse me, efferent,
And
because
those are the capillaries.
that's what they become. Not really. Cool?
Mhm.
Alright, and then surrounding the glomerulus is this, what's that?
Bowman's
Bowman's
capsule.
capsule, what's this?
Is it just, no, the top one's just
So-
convoluted?
Is that the
Proximal
Proximal
convoluted.
convoluted tubule, yep.
Distal convoluted?
What's this one up here?
Distal?
Distal. Now, I'm not gonna ask you that, well, know that here, I'm gonna take that back. Because this function is relevant to you guys in lecture. So make sure you can recognize this on this model. Basically, this distal convoluted tubule has to come right back next to the Bowman's capsule and glomerulus. Because we're sampling the contents of the tubule here. We're looking at the sodium chloride levels here. If there's too much sodium chloride here, that means there wasn't enough time to reabsorb. So it's going to constrict blood flow in afferent arterial, slow things down so we can have more time to reabsorb. Or vice versa, right? If there's too little, right, then we absorb too much, so we're going to speed things up. So, point being, this distal convoluted tubule has to come right next to afferent arterial so there can be communication there, so we can regulate that flow. Does that make sense? So sometimes we have diagrams that don't have those right next to each other. Like this one, and that kind of drives me a little nuts, right? Because that needs to be over there in order for the function to work. How that's relevant to you is really on this model here. If and when I mark a tubule on here, you want to make sure you find the renal corpuscle here, right? The combination of glomerulus and Bowman's capsule. When I pin one of these tubules, you want to find the start and then follow it all the way around until you get to the pin. You can't just say, well, that one's right next to glomerulus, so it must be proximal. Not necessarily. They're both are going to end up next to the proximal. So you got to follow the path. And if I run into the tape or the pin before I get to the loop, then it's proximal. But if I run into that tape or that pin after the loop of Henle, the loop of the nephron, then it must be the distal convoluted tubule. Make sense? So just follow that whole path until you get to the mark and then make your decision. Can't judge by proximity because we're both close to it.
So before loop is proximal, after loop is distal.
Right. And that's just, right, proximal and distal, what did proximal mean again?
Close.
Closer to, and what did distal mean?
Further from.
Farther away. What does convoluted mean? So you're not wrong. Sometimes it's a word that we can say that mean that something is unclear, but by that we mean that it's twisted. It's hard to follow. Convoluted means twisted. So all we're saying here, I know it's fancy, but all we're saying is the closer twisty part and the further away twisty part. That's all that's saying. Just gotta be Latin about it. Make sense? And then in between the two we have the loop of the nephron, or loop of Henle. And that distal convoluted tubule feeds into this collecting duct. Cool? Alright, and then we have two kinds of nephrons. Cortical and juxtamedullary. What's the difference between the two?
Location.
Location, yeah. Nuts. So if I cover this up, and we just look at this nephron, what kind of nephron is this one? Cortical or juxtamedullary?
Cortical.
Cortical. But can you see how you might mistake that? That loop is kind of coming down in medulla. If you looked just at this, you might think it's juxtamedullary until you looked at the one next to it and saw the much longer loop, and then that would clarify this is cortical, this is juxtamedullary. So I do recommend you guys look at both of the. I'm going to mark one of them. right, and ask you to name the kind of nephron or type of nephron, look at both of them before you make your decision as to which one it is.
So how do you you just said, I understand that those two are that, but the loop of Henle isn't that? So how would you tell the loop of Henle? I thought that's just the loop.
I'm talking about the length of that loop. This one goes much further down into medulla than this one does.
So they're
This
both
is-
loop of Henle, but they each got a different name.
No,
No?
these are both loops of Henle, but the overall nephron is named for its general location.
Okay.
This one is mostly in the cortex, so it's a cortical nephron. This one goes down deeper into medulla, so this is a juxtamedullary.
So how would you ask us, if you wanted to know the loop of Henle?
I would say name the structure.
The structure, okay, and then you would say, if you wanted the nephron, you would say name the nephron?
Name the kind of, or type of nephron.
Okay, that makes sense.
Alright, so then the other structure here, if I want peritubular capillaries, I'd use this model. Can you guys see these red blood vessels laying on top of the tubules?
Yeah.
Right, so peri means upon, right? So these are upon or on top of the tubules, so those are the peritubular capillaries. And as I'm sure we all very clearly remember from general A&P, right? We filter blood out through the glomerulus, moves into those tubules, right? And that substance in those tubules is called filtrate. It's water and glucose and ions and stuff, and all that kind of fun stuff, right? But we recover about 99% of what we filter out and put it back in the blood. So if we're going to do that, then we have to have blood vessels right next to the tubules. That's the only way for that to work. Does that make sense? So these are those blood vessels where we take, when we do reabsorption and secretion, all that kind of fun stuff, where we're moving substances between the blood and the tubules. Cool?
Yes.
Alright. And then afferent we did. Any questions on those?